Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I want to talk about comic book universes. And I want to talk about it because I was watching a video from Perch, and Perch had mentioned that Wildstorm from the DC universe is coming back. Is kind of getting introduced into the world of DC or whatever. Since Wildstorm used to be its own universe until they brought it from until Jim Lee sold it to DC and stuff like that when he came back to DC. But anyway, the reason why I want to kind of piggyback on what he's talking about is because I always wondered why, like, when DC, Marvel, whatever, when they take characters or universes, or they buy, like, let's say they buy somebody's universe of characters, or they buy a collection of characters or whatever, and they're always trying to figure out how to fit them into the world of DC. And my thing is, why do you have to do that? Because like Perch was saying, that just just have them there. Just have them there. Sure, they're in the world of DC. Just have them there. You don't really have to explain much of nothing. You really don't have to explain much of nothing, because most fans just want the characters in there. I want the characters to pick up from their stories. That's it. You don't have to really explain much of nothing, because the world, like, since we're talking about DC, I'm gonna try to focus on DC the most. Since the world of DC is so massive and big, there are going to be things that Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman not going to be dealing with, that the characters from the Vertigo line, and the characters from the Fable line, and the characters from Wildstorm are dealing with, and it's okay. They don't always have to cross over. Yes, they live in the same universe. That's great. But just because they live in the same universe doesn't mean they have to always cross over. Sure, it's fun when they do cross over, but hey, just treat them like they is. Like Wildstorm. When Wildstorms came into the DC universe, you know what I'm saying? Before the New 52 or whatever, DC just kind of had it at its own universe, its own little thing. The same thing with the Shazam family, and the Marvel family, and the same thing with the Earth M Dakotaverse. They had their own things, and then they had events that brought them in, and they just kind of picked them up. I mean, and kind of treated them like they've always been there. I mean, sometimes they kind of reintroduced them or whatever, but for the most part, their stories and everything kind of stayed the same. But nowadays, we're getting to the point where we're bringing in characters from other universes, and I'm not even talking about like alternate realities that DC create themselves. I'm talking about like outside stuff that's not affected by DC at all, that wasn't created by DC or anybody that worked for DC, but somebody that does something outside, then DC purchases it, and then you're trying to reintroduce them back into the universe, and you're trying to reboot them and retcon them or whatever, when all you have to do is just put them in the universe. That's it. That's it. That is it. The universe is massive. The planet Earth on in the DC universe is a big place. They don't all live in New York City, so you don't have to explain where they were at and stuff like that. And there are some things that Superman don't know about, some things that Batman don't know about neither. I mean, why not? The whole entire Vertigo line did its own thing, but it was in the world of DC. Yeah, we might see one or some Easter eggs of the DC universe, and sometimes we'll see some of those characters come into Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, or Justice League or whatever and stuff like that as cameos or guest appearances or whatever and stuff like that. And that's it. That's it. But they didn't try to make their stories fit into the overarching world of DC universe. You get what I'm saying? And that's what it feels like. It's like you're trying to fit them in the overarching world of the superheroes, instead of understanding that not everything requires superheroes, or not everything require them to be connected to Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. You know what I'm saying? It's great that Wonder Woman and Superman and Batman knows of these characters, sure, but they don't have to be. You don't have to focus solely on trying to establish that at all. Like when with Wildstorm coming back need to be treated as the Wildstorm that ended with the authorities and the Stormwatch stuff. Just pick up where that left off. They have that history. We don't need no reasoning. We don't need why Superman and Batman wasn't there at the time. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Just treat it like it was back in the day, back before 2011, where not every hero was available to be in every book or event or whatever stuff like that. And matter of fact, a good thing to do is, since you brought back Milestone, you got the Vertigo line going on, and you got Wildstorm, and then you're bringing back the Fable stuff as well. I think Fables was part of Vertigo, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I believe it, but I do know Fables is part of the DC universe though as well. But do some event, do some kind of event where it is in the DC universe. You do have a few lesser known DC characters, but you're giving spotlight mostly to the Vertigo characters, the Fable characters, the Milestone characters, and the Wildstorm characters, and just literally treat them as if they've always been here and let them have the history of their previous stuff. That is why the new Milestone Return stuff isn't successful. That's why the new 52 stuff of Static wasn't successful. That's why the new 52 stuff of the Stormwatch and Wildstorm Authority stuff isn't successful, because you guys are trying to reboot and retcon those characters and trying to change them to fit the mold, instead of just treating them like they've been here or whatever. Let them have their history. Let them have their costumes. Let them have their origins that they already have. You don't have to change any of that stuff. You can tweak a little bit of stuff here or there. You can tweak a little bit. But overall, let's leave most of it alone and just treat the characters like they've been here all of this time. That is what I want DC and just comic books in general. If you're going to buy characters or bring characters from other universes, and I'm not talking about the universes that DC and Marvel create themselves, but just like outside, like let's say they brought some of my characters or whatever and stuff like that, and my characters already have, if I had some characters, right, and my characters already have a history of what's going on in their world, just buy them, bring them into the DC universe, but don't try to retcon them into fitting that kind of stuff. You can kind of do like a little secret origins tie-in book or whatever, stuff like that, to explain certain parts where you can tweak it, where you can fit a little bit of DC into the origin story or backstory. But for the most part, keep them the same. I say just keep them the same. You know, that's what I would do. There's a lot of stuff in the world of DC universe that Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and some of the main characters are not aware of, and that's okay. I just kind of was thinking, just because Perch saying that Wildstorm characters are finally coming back, which that's great and all. I just kind of wish they would just treat them like they previously were, with the history and backstory that they already had before they came into DC during the New 52. You get what I'm saying? And it just feels like all of this stuff just feels more forced than actual, like, oh, these are just natural organic characters. You get what I'm saying? But those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys feel the need that comic book companies, when they buy characters outside of their publishers, when they bring them in, do you feel like they should retcon them into the universe, or kind of just treat them like they've always been there? Because for me, like I said, I kind of want them to just treat them like they were always there or whatever, and call it a day. Like everything still happened, but now they're more in tune with the comic book universe that they're now part of. But those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.